Don't be fooled, Commanders Nation. While you're taking a breather, Adam Peters just shook up the league with a trade that rewrites the rules of the game. Do you know what you'll lose if you don't act today? The line that protects your quarterback has a crack that even the starter doesn't suspect. And only one free man in the market can prevent disaster. But here's what no one wants you to know. The 2026 pass rusher already has a name, and their pick could steal the soul of Philly. Do you dare to find out how all this builds a dynasty around Jaden Daniels? Subscribe and smash that like now. Because tomorrow, when this video blows up on social media, you'll be the first to know what's next until the end, or you'll never sleep soundly again. This is absolutely historic for our franchise. Brian Robinson Jr., our reliable running back who spent 3 seasons being the heart of our ground offense, has just been traded to the San Francisco 49ers. And let me tell you something, I'm in total shock but incredibly excited at the same time. Let's break this down step by step because there are so many layers to this decision that most people aren't understanding. First, let's talk about the historical context. For years, even decades, we've watched this organization make reactive decisions, desperate moves that never made sense long term. Do you remember the Daniel Snyder eras when we traded players on whims without any master plan? Adam Peters comes in and does exactly what we needed to see. Bold moves with strategic purpose. This is not an impulsive decision. This is a chess move planned 5 steps ahead. Brian Robinson Jr. himself admitted that the last 2 weeks were unusual with all the rumors swirling, his name constantly popping up in trade talks. But listen to what he says next, and this is what excites me the most. Nothing changes for me. I expect the same goals I said 3-4 months ago. The same process continues. Do you understand the mindset this shows? Robinson isn't mad. He isn't complaining. He's ready for the challenge. And that tells me Peters identified not just a talented player, but a professional who will represent our organization well even after leaving. Now, let's get into the technical aspect. Robinson is going to San Francisco to work with Kyle Shanahan, one of the most creative offensive coordinators in the NFL. And do you know what Robinson said about this? I am very aware of how Coach Shanahan likes to handle the attack with the running backs. He emphasized that when he announced it. I'm ready for that. That's Burgundy and Gold, baby. Even leaving our organization, Robinson is showing the hard-working mentality that Peters is trying to instill throughout the team culture. But here's what's really interesting. Robinson is going to compete directly with Christian McCaffrey, one of the best running backs in the whole league. And do you know what his response was? I respect everyone. I respect the room, I respect C-Mac, but I'm competitive. I came here to compete. I love this mindset. There's no intimidation, no doubts, just pure competitive confidence. Peters didn't just move a talented player, he moved a warrior who will give everything to win wherever he is. For us here in the DMV, this trade means something much deeper than just swapping running backs. This is Peters telling us we're building around Jaden Daniels smartly. Instead of keeping a traditional power running back, we're evolving towards a scheme that maximizes the unique skills of our future quarterback, Austin Ekeler, and rookie jackery Bill Krosky-Merritt are going to have to step up now. Ekeler brings that versatility as a receiver that perfectly complements Daniels' natural mobility. Do you remember when we screamed for years that we desperately needed a running back who could consistently catch passes? We finally got it. Ekeler has shown throughout his career that he can produce both running and receiving. In his best seasons with the Chargers, he was racking up over 1,500 combined yards from scrimmage. That versatility is going to be crucial for a young quarterback like Daniels who needs reliable options in the short passing game. And let's talk about Krosky-Merritt for a moment. This undrafted rookie completely impressed in the preseason. Peters saw something special in him, enough to keep him on the 53-man roster. Do you think it's a coincidence that Peters made this trade after seeing what Krosky-Merritt could do? I think it's part of the master plan. But here's my most important question. Do you believe Peters is done with the moves? I say this to you. This organization finally understands that to win in this league, you need to be aggressive. You need to always be thinking 2 steps ahead of the competition. The Eagles are trying to reload with costly moves. The Cowboys are losing talent due to salary cap issues. The Giants are in full rebuilding mode. and we're making smart moves that position us to dominate this division for the coming years. What did we get in return for Robinson? Those details aren't completely clear yet, but knowing Peter's reputation, you can be sure he maximized the value. This is not the type of GM who makes trades just to make changes. If that trade surprises you, if you think that's all we have for today, wait to hear what comes next. Commanders fans, we have a serious problem and we need to talk about it immediately. Our offensive line, after all the brilliant offseason moves, still has an absolutely glaring flaw. Now, we don't have a reliable backup center for Tyler Biadasz, and that genuinely worries me about the health of Jaden Daniels. Let's dive deep into this analysis because quarterback protection is literally the difference between a successful season and a total disaster. After years, decades suffering with completely inconsistent offensive lines that ruined the careers of talented quarterbacks, we finally have real stability with Biadasz as our starting pivot. Tyler Biadasz has been a revelation since he came from Dallas. He is consistent, smart, has excellent timing in his snaps, and more importantly, has developed real chemistry with Daniels throughout the offseason. But do you know what keeps me up at night? Biadasz missed time twice during the regular season of 2024 with minor injuries. And what happened when he wasn't available? Michael Dieter and Nick Harris had to step in. And let me be brutally honest, neither of those two inspires the least confidence in me to protect our future quarterback. Dieter has been inconsistent. In his opportunities, Harris is coming off injuries and hasn't shown the level we need. Can you imagine if Daniels gets injured because our backup center can't handle a simple snap or misses a protection assignment? That would be an absolute disaster that would ruin our entire competitive window. And here comes a solution that nobody else is seeing. The perfect opportunity that's waiting for Peters to seize it. Cole Strange, former first-round pick of the New England Patriots, has just been released. And this could be the smartest acquisition of the entire offseason. Let's analyze why Cole Strange is exactly what we need. First, the story. Strange was selected in the 29th position of the 2022 draft by the Patriots. Most analysts and scouts had him projected to be selected after pick 100, but Bill Belichick thought he was worth the first-round risk. Was it a misjudgment by Belichick? Absolutely. But that misjudgment doesn't mean Strange isn't a solid player. What happened is that the expectations were completely out of proportion due to his draft position. As a first-round player, he was expected to be immediately elite. As a low-cost acquisition, Strange can be exactly what we need. What are Strange's strengths that would immediately benefit us? First, he's fundamentally solid in pass protection. He has consistently shown that he can handle complex stunts, has good technical fundamentals, and more importantly, rarely commits penalties for false start or holding in critical moments. Second, and this is crucial for our system, Strange has the versatility to play both center and guard. Do you understand how valuable that is? We're not talking just about a backup for Biadasz. We're talking about someone who can rotate in multiple positions depending on injuries or specific game situations. Third, Strange comes from a system in New England that emphasizes mental discipline and preparation. Those qualities are exactly what Dan Quinn is trying to establish in our organizational culture. There would be no adaptation problems. And you know what's the smartest thing about this potential acquisition? It's a zero-risk play with potentially massive reward. Strange won't cost much in terms of salary cap. We could likely sign him to a one-year contract with incentives. If it works, our problem is solved. If it doesn't work, we cut him with no financial consequences. While Jerry Jones is making his usual questionable moves with the Cowboys, spending money on big names with no substance, Peters is being smart in identifying real value opportunities in the market. But do you know what annoys me? That other teams in our division aren't thinking this way. The Eagles are obsessed with flashy moves. The Giants are in total panic trying to fix everything at once. The Cowboys think they can win with individual talent alone. We have the opportunity to be smart, to identify exactly what we need, and to get it in the most efficient way possible. Strange perfectly represents that philosophy. Do you all think we should sign Strange immediately? I say this to you. We need to protect our future quarterback at all costs. And this is a small investment that could prevent a massive catastrophe. Plus, think about the message this sends to the rest of the team. Peters is demonstrating that he won't leave any detail unresolved, that he will be proactive in identifying and solving problems before they become crises. But that's nothing, absolutely nothing compared to what's coming now. And when you thought we were done with explosive news, when you thought we had covered all the important stuff, here comes the truly crazy part that's going to define our long-term future. The league's most respected analysts are already projecting that we should select Danny Dennis Sutton from Penn State with our first pick in the 2026 draft. And let me explain to you exactly why this is absolutely brilliant and why it represents the future of our defense. First, let's establish the historical context because it's essential to understand why this projection is so important. We veteran Commanders fans know our pass rush has been a chronic problem for years, for even decades. We've seen quarterback after quarterback have all the time in the world to make passes against us. Last season, we lost Dante Fowler Jr., who went to our divisional rivals, the Dallas Cowboys. Imagine the frustration. A player who knows our system, our weaknesses now. Helping Jerry Jones twice a year. Von Miller is here as a temporary measure, but let's be realistic. He won't be here forever. And at his age, we can't depend on him as a long-term solution. Frankie Louvu has been a solid addition, but even the best pass rusher needs help from the other side to be truly effective. Without a dependable complement, opposing teams are just going to double coverage on Louvu and completely neutralize our pressure. Danny Dennis Sutton represents the perfect solution to all these problems. He had 8.5 sacks during the 2024 season at Penn State, and that's just the surface statistic. When you analyze his highlights, when you see his technique, when you study his consistency snap after snap, you realize we're talking about an elite prospect. And do you know what's the smartest part of this projection? Dennis Sutton would probably have been a day 2 selection if he had declared eligible last year. He decided to stay at Penn State to develop more, to refine his technique, to add more tools to his arsenal. That shows maturity and dedication. To continuous improvement. Technically, Dennis Sutton is exactly the type of edge rusher that works in the modern defensive system. He's tall, has long arms to separate from offensive tackles, but he also has the explosiveness needed to win, with pure speed when the situation requires it. But do you know what excites me more than his physical abilities? His technical development. Dennis Sutton has demonstrated consistent improvement in his pass rush repertoire. He has multiple ways to attack offensive tackles. He can win on the outside with speed. He can use power moves on the inside. He can counteract when tackles overcommit in one direction. Do you remember when Chase Young was supposedly our future in the pass rush? We all had massive expectations, and although Young has had good moments, he never consistently developed into the dominant player we expected. With Dennis Sutton, we have the opportunity to do it right from the start. The difference is that now we have a stable organization with Peters as GM and Dan Quinn establishing the correct defensive culture. Dennis Sutton would come into an environment where he can be properly developed, where he has mentors like Von Miller to teach him the mental aspects of the game. And do you know why this is an absolutely brilliant projection? Because Peters is thinking 2 seasons ahead. While other teams are panicked trying to fix immediate problems with costly short-term solutions, we are systematically building for a championship window that's going to last years. The Philadelphia Eagles thought that with all their costly defensive moves, they were going to dominate automatically, but we're building smartly and sustainably. When Dennis Sutton arrives in 2026, Jaden Daniels will be in his 3rd year, probably already established as one of the young elite quarterbacks of the league. Imagine that combination. An offense led by a mature and experienced Daniels complemented by a defense anchored by a young and explosive pass rush. That's a recipe to compete for Super Bowls over multiple seasons. But here comes my most critical question, the one that keeps me up at night. Do you believe we can wait until 2026 to completely solve our pass rush? I believe we need to look for options right now in the available veteran market. Dennis Sutton is the future, but we need immediate production for this season. Peters should be exploring every available option. Cut veterans, players available for trade, even projects other teams have abandoned, but that could flourish in our system. Dennis Sutton's college season with Penn State is going to be crucial for his projection. They kick off this Saturday against Nevada, and you can be sure that Peter's scouts will be evaluating every snap, every move, every pressure situation he faces. And do you know what gives me more confidence in this projection? That it comes from analysts who have been closely following Peter's evaluation trends. This is not random speculation. This is analysis based on the specific profile of players that Peters has been targeting. Now, let's step back and analyze how all these news pieces connect to form a complete picture of where this organization is headed under the new administration. The trade of Brian Robinson Jr. is not just an isolated move. It's part of a broader offensive philosophy focused on maximizing the unique skills of Jaden Daniels. Peters is building a more versatile backfield, more adapted to the modern NFL game. The need for a backup center isn't unjustified paranoia. It's recognizing that protecting the quarterback is the absolute #1 priority. Peters understands that his entire master plan depends on keeping Daniels healthy and continuously developing. The projection of Dennis Sutton for 2026 shows that we're thinking long term. We're not in a desperate mode trying to fix everything immediately. We're systematically building for a sustainable competitive window. Do you see the pattern? Smart moves in the present, future preparation, but always with Jaden Daniels as the center of it all. This is the first time in decades that we're seeing a coherent and well-executed organizational strategy. Commanders fans, this is exactly what it means to have a completely serious and professional organization. Smart trades that maximize value, problems identified and proactively solved. Future planned with long-term strategic vision. Adam Peters is proving week after week that finally, we have real leadership in Ashburn. No more reactive decisions, no more desperate moves, no more constant improvisation. This is high-level strategic planning executed by professionals who understand how to win in modern NFL. But I need to know exactly what you all think about each of these developments. Are you completely on board with the Brian Robinson Jr. trade, or do you think we should have kept him? Do you believe we should sign Cole Strange immediately, or are there better options available? And do you genuinely believe that Dennis Sutton is our pass rusher of the future, or should we be looking at other prospects? Leave me all your detailed opinions in the comments, because this community we are building is a real family, and the best discussions, the deepest analyses, the smartest predictions always happen here in these videos. If you're excited about these moves, if you feel that we're finally on the right track after years of frustration, give this video a massive like so YouTube knows this content is worth it. If you want to keep analyzing every Commander's decision with me, every Peters move, every Daniels development, subscribe now, because I guarantee you that tomorrow we're going to have even more explosive news. And you can't miss a second of what's coming, because this 2025 season is going to be absolutely historic for our franchise. Join this Burgundy and Gold family that's growing exponentially every day. And always remember, no matter what happens, hail to the Commanders!